What is up, YouTube? It's Docky Style Gaming, or DSG, and we are back at it again with another Anthem video for you today. And this one's super late, but it's a lot more information and a lot of stuff that was revealed by Mark Dara himself again on Twitter. And then he also had an interview that he did, well, actually not an interview, a Q&A on Twitch that he streamed. It was about an hour long, which I'll be covering in a separate video. But this is just more questions that he answered on Twitter, and then probably tomorrow or the day after, I'll be actually posting all of the new answers or questions that he answered in his Twitch interview. So it was about an hour long, so I'll condense that like I did with the Game Informer video, just so I'll give you all the newest bits of information that came from that, the Twitch stream itself. But I'm not going to waste your time because this is probably going to be another big video of brand new information. So, that being said, I guess we could start with the new gameplay that we just saw, which showed off finally a bit of the map. Now, when asked about the map, because we see in the gameplay trailer, which you'll be seeing in a couple of seconds, when we looked at the map, it looked like that was the full map. So people were asking on Twitter if that was the current map itself, because it didn't look that big. And he did have to say that no, that's not the full size of the map, and that actually whenever you are looking in the map, it's broken into sub-regions of the map. So, the small amount of space that we actually see on the stream, or on the video that you're looking at right now, that's actually not the full range of the map itself. That's a sub-region of the map, and there's multiple sub-regions. Now, they said when you're loading just to different sub-regions, there will be no load time, but if you're selecting a mission from a sub-region of the map, there will be a small load time, but they're not frequent, so you don't have to worry too much about that. So, I did want to get that out the way because a lot of people were asking questions about it because they thought that was the full size of the map when showed, and he did have to say, no, that's a sub-region of the map, and there's multiple sub-regions of the map in-game. Now, the next part of information, which I thought was pretty cool, because it's kind of been staring us in the face this whole time. But as I mentioned in my lore video, that the Legion of Dawn is a splintered faction of 3 different factions in the games. There's the Freelancers, which are our characters. There's the Dominion, which are the main villains of the game. And then there's the Sentinels, which are like our law enforcement, I guess, so to speak. Like, they're the military of the game. And apparently, in the very first E3 trailer, the Sentinels were shown off this whole time, and we had never even noticed that that's who they were. Because when asked about playing with this Javelin right here, we were asked if we would be able to play with this one, and he actually said they're not playable because that's actually one of the Sentinels in the game, which again are the like military, law enforcement, law-abiding, Javelin force in the game. They're more respected than us, I should say, in the game. Whereas Freelancers are kind of looked and frowned upon in game, the Sentinels are kind of the more heroic and stoic type of characters in the game. So the Sentinels are in the game, and that's actually how they look like. Like I said, he said we wouldn't be able to play with them, but maybe we might get that Javelin type at some point in the future. Who knows? But that's the Sentinels, and like I said, it's been in our face for over a year because it came out last year's E3 video. Now, when asked about the Legion of Dawn armor, he did say that armor in-game is cosmetic. When asked if could we use the Legion of Dawn armor for late game missions, or will we have to take it off and with the pre-order kind of be useless outside of it, he said armor is cosmetic, so it won't actually affect your level in game. So if you want to run through all of Anthem, your entire run wearing the pre-order exclusive armor, you can do that 100% because that's not actually going to affect your stats, your abilities, or your power in game. So if you want to do that, you can do that because armor is purely cosmetic in game. Now, apparently you can't equip drops in mid-mission, at least. In the back to the E3 trailer from last year, we saw that they picked up the Jar's Wrath and you were able to equip it instantly from picking it up. Well, he did mention in a tweet that that was a mistake and it's been changed. You can't actually equip drops mid-mission that you pick up. They said you'll have to go back to either where your resupply spot or your ship, your Strider and reload and re-equip it essentially, if you want to actually do that. So I guess this kind of ties more into, before you start a mission, make sure you have everything you want set, because all the loadouts seem to be locked in game. Now, this was something that I mentioned in my last video, and I guess it makes sense, but Mark Dara did have to say that there are no playable sports in the game. He said they exist in the universe, but don't expect to be able to play sports. And what he means by that is, for the people who play Destiny, there's like soccer in the hangar or at the farm. There's also that little ball game that you can play. There were people asking questions about that, and he did say that no, there's not going to be any type of sport mechanic like at Fort Tarsis or anything like that in game. Though there may be a mention of some sport in the universe itself, because they say sports exist, we just won't be able to play them. So if you're expecting to just have something to do at Fort Tarsis, sports aren't it. He did tease that there possibly might be mini games, but who knows. Now, on the subject of emotes, they were asked how many emotes you could have equipped. He did say you'll at least have 4, but he's not sure if you can have more than 4 equipped at a time. But for sure, you will at least have 4 of them. And at the beginning of the video, you can kind of see that there are 4 different, or you can see them doing some of the emotes, whether it's just the waving or something else. But I guess there are emotes equipped, so you'll at least be able to use 4 at the start of the game and potentially more. I guess he'll kind of inform us a little later when there's more clarification on it. So this next point kind of ties into another thing that I mentioned in another previous video that he kind of just went more into. But when asked about the weapons in the game, he did go on to say that the Colossus main weapons in the games and pickups will be miniguns. Apparently that's his type of weapon. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, they did say Colossus won't be able to use weapons such as pistols or anything like that, because he has heavier type weapons. And the Colossus main weapon apparently is the minigun, but they did say he'll give us more details on gear and weapons later. So that tends to be most of their go-to statements when there's more stuff to be released, but they don't want to talk about it, is that they'll just talk about it at a later date. Now, when asked about changing ciphers for missions, I've kind of pointed this out in like 3 separate videos, but I guess he kind of confirmed it without confirming it. He was asked if we'd be able to change from a female to male cipher in game, and literally all he had to say was spoilers in all caps. Now, for those of you who don't know, Faye, Helic, and Owen are 3 of the people in our crew on the Strider, and in the E3 E-Play demo, Owen was one of the ciphers that was talking to us in the gameplay itself. And if at the beginning of this video you actually see Faye and Helic actually just recently got cast by, I actually didn't look up his credentials, but I'm pretty sure he's another pretty famous voice actor, or just actor in general. But Helic does have a voice, so I'd assume that you'd be able to switch your cipher between one of those 3 people. I don't know if it's going to be mission specific or if you'll be able to do it at will, but he did say spoilers when asked about it. But those are your 3 crew members, so I assume that you will technically have a female cipher that you can use to talk with, whether it's Faye, which is the one female on your crew, and then Helic and Owen as well. Now, another pretty big question that was asked was about the demo and release and information and details on it. All he had to say, sadly, for all you people wondering, was details are not being discussed at the moment. So, no actual details on the release of the demo, but again, if I had to speculate when we'd actually get some of our first demo stuff, I kind of feel like it'd be September to November, and then we'd probably get another demo probably by like the month before it drops, so probably in January, because the pre-order does say demos, so we definitely know we're getting more than one. But the one I'm kind of pretty sure we'll get is probably one coming like January, like probably a month or a month and a half before the release of the actual game in February. So no actual release on the demos. They just said they're not being discussed at the moment. So sadly, no new information on that. Now, when talking about different missions and objectives in games, they were asking, will there be pretty much more missions that aren't all gun warfare and gunplay? He did say that there will be carrying / objective type missions in game where you have to escort something or bring something to somewhere else. Everything's not just going to be a full-on gunfight in game. So I guess you can make of that as what you will. I know some people don't really like escorting missions. Some people do. I mean, it's kind of nice to have a different pace than just shooting stuff 24/7. So I'm okay with that. Now, this is something I expected to be in it, but he just kind of answered it when asked. He did say you'll be able to inspect other players' armor and info, so probably their stats, their gear, everything that they have equipped. Most games like this let you do that. I know Warframe, you can inspect players. You can see their stats and their ability, or their frames that they're on, their javelins, and Destiny, you can do the same thing. You can see the armor, you can see their light level. So in a game like this, I kind of expected that to be a thing. Like I said, he just kind of confirmed that that's something we'll be able to do in the game. Now, kind of tying into Destiny as well, they were asked about power measurement in the game. Will there be any type of it? And i.e. like your light level for Destiny or your eye level in World of Warcraft. Well, as I mentioned in my last video, he did say, or I won't say Mark Darrah said, I believe it was the game director himself, said that there will be, it's going to be considered gear power is what it's going to be. And there will be an actual measurement system in the game for power. And apparently it's called your gear power. So yes, there will be a power level system. And that's the term that they're using for it at the moment. It may change come release, but gear power is the, I guess, correct terminology for it at the moment. Now, when talking about, which actually is something I forgot to mention. I'm glad I rewrote it here, but I forgot to mention it on my last video. But they were talking about whenever you pick up new weapons, like I mentioned earlier, when you pick up new weapons, you'd have to go re-equip them. You can't just equip them from your mid-mission. Well, they said you have to go back to the forge and re-equip weapons that you have found or can craft. Now, I didn't mention in my last video, but he did mention in a tweet that crafting is something that's going to be in game. And they didn't say what you'll be able to craft. They didn't say if it's weapons, armors, or what, or even like different colors, paints, you know. But there will be a crafting system in the game. And I'm actually going to touch back on crafting a bit later because there's something that some players might not like, and I'm kind of on the fences about, and it has to deal with the microtransaction portion of the game. So I'll get into that a little later in the video. But next, let's talk about, I guess, the co-op activities. When he was kind of asked about it, he said that that pretty much everybody expected. Your mic isn't required to play online with anybody. No games, I don't think mic is ever required, but no, you don't need a microphone to play co-op activities with other players. And they were also asked about level cap in game for missions, co-op missions, everything like that, whenever you'd be able to join with other players. They didn't give us an actual level cap. They said it's not being discussed right now. And personally, I don't know if there will be a level cap. So it'll be interesting to see, or if it will be an increasing level cap per update, kind of how Destiny does. When it first came out, it was 305, then it was like 330, now it's 385, and it's about to get bumped up to 400. So who knows? We might get something. We might get a true cap that just increases per update or something like that, but we don't know. Now, when talking about enemy types, they did say, they actually gave us a third type of enemy. They said the Dominion, which we know are our main villains. They said the Scars, which are the creatures that we fight. And then they also said the Outlaws. And then they kind of put a ... like there could possibly be more. Now, when talking about the Outlaws, he did go on to reply to another tweet saying that there is another kind of criminal underground organization in the game. And though he didn't say for sure that that's who the Outlaws were, that kind of seems to go hand in hand, if anything, that that's who the other enemy faction is for us, is the Outlaws, this unknown underground criminal organization. So that's another new enemy type that we have in the game. And like I said, he did put ... meaning there could potentially be more new characters in the game. Now, before I get to the next part, I did want to post this. I'm probably not going to actually talk too much on it, but just for all you people who wanted to see, these are all the languages that the game will be played in, and these are all the which ones will have voiceover work, and then the ones that'll have just subtitles, which I'm just going to put it on the screen now because I'm not going to read them all out. But if you're interested, those are all the different voiceover, and then the different ones that will have just straight dubs and not actual voiceover. So there you go for everybody who was wondering about that. Now, talking about new players in game, they were asking if new players join late game, are their rewards limited? Now, he did say yes, rewards are limited, but there will be incentives to pretty much for all the players who are joining late to earn more rewards and different rewards as well. So even if you're on the fences of getting Anthem at release and you kind of miss a month or two or something like that, you might miss some of the rewards, or you might just be a bit behind, but they said there will be incentives, whether it be to help, you boost up faster. They didn't say what the incentives will be. They just said there will be incentives for late game players. So if you decide to get the game late, it's all good. There'll still be something for you at least. Now, when talking about the stronghold, this is something I thought was pretty cool because this is something I've always wanted in Destiny. They said if somebody leaves the stronghold, which are 4-player activities, dungeon-like activities, they said you have a window for that player to rejoin. If they don't rejoin within that time limit, they will auto matchmake somebody to find you. Now, they did come out and say strongholds aren't raids, but there will be raids in game. But considering it's an in-game activity that has built-in matchmaking, I find that kind of interesting because outside of Destiny's really bad guided game system right now, Destiny really needs a form of matchmaking in something like that, whether it be a Nightfall or... So I just find it cool that for an in-game activity, they have built-in matchmaking when a game like Destiny can't even do that. So, like I said, I'm happy that there will be matchmaking for that. And actually, I'll get into that a little later, so I won't even talk about that yet. Now, they did say there's going to be no ships or vehicles for us to pilot, just the javelins. I kind of expected that, and kind of how I mentioned in my last video, they also said you wouldn't be able to ride on any pets. Again, you can fly everywhere. Why would you want to be on a ship, a vehicle, or ride on a pet in game when you can fly? But that's just me. But they did say no, none of that's in game. They also said not all Javs can fly using their supers. While using their supers. So some Javs can, some can't. They were talking about the scene from the E-Play trailer where the Javelin is flying underneath the Titan and shooting his rockets at him. Now, like I said, he said not all of them will be able to use their supers like that in flight, but some can. And I guess on to the next part of flying, he did say that you can actually fly longer when it's raining in the game. So I thought that was pretty cool because, I mean, we know you could cool off your jets. We know that there's a bunch of different things you can do to make it to where you can stay flying longer or reset your jets itself. So when it's raining, apparently you'll just be able to fly longer than normal, especially if you upgrade the perk where you can fly longer. That'll be pretty nice. Now, a bit more onto the enemies. They said that there will be immobilizing enemies in game, i.e., enemies that can knock you down, pull you, and blow you out of the sky. So, you'll have certain enemies to watch out for while you are playing the game and encountering in missions and flying while free playing. So, that's something that I thought was pretty cool and kind of expected. So, now, they did say your friend will complete missions if they join you in a mission that they haven't completed, essentially. So, if your friend joins you in the middle of a mission and he's not even at that point, when he completes the mission with you that he's helping you join, he'll complete that mission as well. And apparently he won't have to do it himself when it comes time for him to run that story mode itself. So, I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's like, I'm okay with it, but then at the same time, it's kind of weird that they're going to break up the story like that. I just find it a bit, like I said, I don't know. I find it a bit weird to me at least. But I mean, some people might like that. They don't have to repeat missions again, but I just think it's an interesting design choice. Now, they also said that you'll be able to instantly take off when your jets actually, I guess, overheat. So the second they stop, you can land and then start up right again. But I don't know, I find that weird just because it's like, why would they overheat if you could just instantly take off again? And that's actually what he said. He said you will be able to instantly take off when your jets overheat. I take it when they mean when you land, but it's like, then why do we have a cooldown if we can essentially always stay flying? But, you know, that's that. Now, they did say you can die from fall damage, because I guess this was more referring to the storm. Because I mentioned in my video, they said the storm is probably the most likeliest to die from fall damage. So they were asking a question about fall damage. He did say now that you can die from fall damage, but you most likely won't die if you have full health and shields. So all the people who are potentially going to be maining the storm, you don't have to worry too much about dying as long as you have full health and shield. But it's probably still best to try not to take fall damage. So don't dive bomb into the ground, because that still wouldn't be smart. Now, they did say that free play, the main purpose of free play would be for exploring and gathering crafting materials. Now, again, crafting materials, I'll go back to that a little later. But let's just go on to the next one. They said there's going to be no AI Javelin companions in solo play. So even though missions are set for 4 players to play in, they said if you play solo play, they won't spawn, 3 extra AI Javelins to play with you in the game. If you're playing solo play, you will technically be playing solo by yourself. If you want more Javelins to accompany you, find some friends or matchmake with some people so they can run the mission with you. Now, this was something that I'm actually okay with. I prefer it. I like games that do this. They said that Elder Game missions will be level locked or doable only if you have completed the story itself in game. So, all you people who are worried that a really low level person might come in and mess up a stronghold or mess up, a raid or something like that, you won't have to worry too much because they will be locked via, like I said, level, which is, gear level or gear power, or by story completion. So you don't have to worry too much about, quote, noobs messing up your gameplay or your flow of game for you. Now, this is the part I've kind of been holding off on, but this comes to the monetization of the game. Now, I mentioned before that there will be an in-world currency. But he did go on to mention that there will also be a premium currency along with the in-game currency in-game. And for those of you who don't know, premium currency is used for purchasing stuff in the premium store. Now, there's kind of a double-edged sword to this. He did say that the same stuff that you can buy with your premium currency, you can in the shop, you can actually earn in-game. So that's something I find fantastic. So it's not like purely locked, whereas in Destiny, everything that's in a bright engram, the only way to get those items are through a bright engram. You can't actually earn them through playing. Whereas with this, even if it's in the store, you'll be able to unlock it via playing. But the part that actually kind of scares me a bit is that they did say that you'll be able to purchase crafting materials with your in-game, with the premium currency in the market. So even though they said you can't really buy power, and we don't know how far and how deep the actual crafting system is, we don't know if it means crafting weapons, we don't know if it means crafting armor or what. So I'm going to still be on the fences, but if it turns out that it's for crafting better weapons, then that's not a good move in my opinion. Because if you could just spend money and buy all the crafting materials you need to go craft you a better weapon, then it's like you kind of are paying for power at this point. But if you're actually using, if it's just for, I guess, literally cosmetics, whether it be colors or armor and stuff like that, that's fine. But, like I said, I'm on the fences. I'll kind of be on the fences until we find out more about the actual shop and what all crafting actually is. If it's going to be for crafting new and stronger weapons, or if it's just purely cosmetic, then it's fine. Go for it. But that's kind of where I was going with the crafting stuff and why I was kind of holding off on it, because it did tie into the whole monetization, whereas you'll be able to buy crafting materials. Though you can farm crafting materials out in the real world too. It's just if you can just buy it straight up, and if it's for making weapons, you know, people who have the money to spend will literally just be spending money like crazy on crafting materials and crafting them some of the best weapons in game. So that's that. But again, we don't know, so I'm not going to jump the gun. That was just something I wanted to put out there because it was mentioned that yes, you will be able to purchase crafting materials, but at the same time, they did say everything in the shop that you can earn, you can or that you can buy in the shop, you can earn in game. So like I said, it's a double-edged sword. Like, it's kind of shady, but then at the same time, at least you can actually grind everything out if you want to grind everything out in the game. So I like it, and I'm on the fences. So like I said, we'll see. Now, this was just something, I guess, lore related that I just took note of because it was mentioned. It's nothing super special, but he did say that when you're in the javelins, because if you look at the javelins, most of them are taller than the average human, and most of their legs are slightly deformed, I should say. They did say when you're in the javelin, lore-wise, your feet are actually in the knees of your javelin and not at the base of the foot of your javelin in the game. So, essentially, it's like your freelancers are on stilts when they're in your javelin. But, like I said, nothing special. I just wanted to take note of that and, I guess, share it with y'all. Now, they did go on to say, too, in terms of self-damage, since I was talking about dying from fall damage, they did say that you won't actually have weapon self-damage in game, so you can't like set yourself on fire or freeze yourself with ice grenades or anything like that, so you don't have to worry too much about that. And also, while you're watching the gameplay, you could probably see the health and shields in the game at the top left-hand corner of the screen whenever they're taking damage or shooting. They did say that the blue bar is going to be your shields and the yellow bar is your health. Now again, there's health pickups and ammo pickups, and while you're watching the gameplay itself, you can actually see there will be like little white orbs on the ground that have 3 bullets, which are your ammo. Then there will be green ones on the ground, which are for your health. So that's how the actual pickups themselves look, because your health actually doesn't regen, and apparently you run out of ammo pretty fast, because I see them constantly picking up ammo. I won't say pretty fast, but at a pretty decent rate. You are burning through bullets, so you might want to conserve them a bit more. Now, this was something that I didn't expect to happen, but you could clearly tell this was a Warframe person asking this. They did say if any of the javelins will be vaulted at any point. For those of you who don't know, Warframe vaults their prime frames, meaning when a brand new frame comes out, you probably have about maybe a year and a half to, you know, to farm all the pieces, gather them, and everything like that. After that time, they get sent to a vault, meaning you can't ever farm that character again unless you still have relics, or if you decide to buy them off the trade chat. And they did, and Mark Dara pretty much said that no, there's no system like that. They won't be vaulting javelins. They'll be permanently out. So you'll always be able to do the missions for them if you want to unlock them. You'll always be able to do whatever. So you don't have to worry about them being like going away at some point if you don't have them right now. Or if you're only trying to focus on 2 javelins at a time and you want to do the 3rd one later, you'll be fine because they're not going away ever. Now, this was something that I thought was interesting about their day and night cycle. They kind of gave us a time frame on how long day and night will last in game, and he said that the day and night cycle will last less than an hour in game, which I find really weird because it'll be fluctuating between day and night extremely fast in game. Like how Warframe currently has it with their day and night cycle, I believe it's like an hour and a half is their day cycle, and then an hour is their night cycle, which seems more realistic. But if they're doing it within less than an hour, the time is going to be fluctuating a lot in game. And speaking of the time fluctuating in game, they did say that across all servers it'll be the same time too. So if it's daytime on your screen, And it'll be daytime when, you know, somebody across the world playing the game as well. And then if it's night, you know, vice versa. So I just thought it was weird that they said that the day and night cycle is going to be less than an hour. But, you know, if you're cool with that, you're cool with that. I kind of hope they tweak it a little bit because I feel like that might be a bit irritating that it keeps fluctuating like that. And then also to tie into the night cycle, they did ask, will there be lanterns or lights or anything like that when it's night when we're exploring caves? And he did come out and say that our javelins will produce a light, will shine a light, you know, at nighttime so we can actually see when it's dark in the game. Now, and this is the last part of I guess news. I covered this in my last video when asked about the Strider customization. At the time, he said that at the moment, it doesn't look like you will be able to customize your Strider, but you might be able to. Well, now he's pretty much come out and said that it's not likely at all that we'll be able to customize our Striders in game, just our Fort Tarsus. So for all of you who are wanting to pimp out your Strider, put some flames on it, paint it blue, make it look like movie Optimus Prime. Not saying I wanted to do that, but those of you who are wanting to do that, you can't actually do that. It looks like our Striders will be plain silver for the entire game. So that's that. That's all the news I got for you guys so far that I have covered. This is like 3 days worth of tweets that I've put into this one video. And like I said, I have another one that should be coming out in either like a day or two that's covering all the new stuff that he talked about and asked, or, you know, answered that questions that were asked in the Twitch Q&A that he had did. So that's that. That's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry that this video is like 3 or 4 days later than it should have been, but I just hate uploading my videos really late at night, and that's the main reason why this one's been so late. But at least I got it out. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, I got another one coming in a couple days. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.